The more that I understood spirit world, the more I understood, oh, there's nothing to be feared here. The thing that I feared was not understanding or not knowing it. So now that I'm diving in and I'm actually understanding what's going on, my fears are decreasing and I'm starting to see this whole other world and expansion around what psychic work and medium work actually means.
Hello, welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I'm so honored to create a space where you get to meet extraordinary women, and they come from around the world, and they step forward to share their wisdom, their courage, their gifts, and their dedication to uplifting the well-being of women and people on the planet everywhere. So I believe that we're really in a profound time of women's voices rising, their visions, their leaderships, their intuition, and it's rising in powerful and necessary ways because I really believe that these remarkable change makers and their stories are about transformation, resilience, and impact. And I'm extraordinarily happy to be a conduit of introduction. You can find Women Awakening with Cynthia James on every podcast platform as well as YouTube. And if these conversations resonate with you, I really invite you to subscribe, share the show with the women in your life, and leave a review. So I want to just introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Ceejay Amanda. She is a psychic medium who has been and continues to forge a new path for mediums to do mediumship their own way while embodying a whole other level of energetics. Her specialty is being able to read beyond what spirit is telling her, and we will be talking about that. She reads the full spectrum of the energy between spirit and their loved ones to communicate and bring forth what is needed, whether that be about guidance or healing or ancestral understandings, purpose, the afterlife, or more. CJ, welcome. I am so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I first of all, I want to, how did you grow up? I mean, I'm assuming you didn't drop on the planet thinking I'm a medium.
Very close though, but yes. No, I grew up, as one of those sensitive empath children as many feel and identify with, of being that chameleon to their environment and sensing a lot of things. But I did have some experiences when I was younger with spirit. They were few and far between, but they were very poignant in my life. And so waking up to a male spirit grabbing my toe, for instance, was one of those markers that freaked me out, and I did not like it, so I shut myself down and said, "Absolutely not. I do not want to, do this. I don't wanna connect to this," and I kept that at bay for a long time, and I was still using my psychic gifts, still had that empath abilities, brought it into my career, my work, working with others in teams and management, so I was using my psychic abilities, but that mediumship part of connecting to spirit and understanding the afterlife, I kept at bay until I became a mother, and that's where it all kind of reopened for me. So childhood was very interesting in that way. I grew up with a very religious background as well, going to Sunday school every Sunday with my family and following that path and going to church every week and singing and doing those things. So it was a very interesting coming of those two worlds and really seeing the greater big picture aspect of what all of this means for us and our faith and in understanding our own growth and empowerment.
Well, I love that you spoke about that. First of all, so many people, especially watching the show, have had the experience of being an empath, feeling things, seeing things, and not understanding, and then being in families that don't even believe in what's happening to them. So my first question to you is, as you began to embrace this once you became a mother, how did you navigate the family structures with it? Because now all of a sudden it's becoming your calling.
Right. Yes. Well, when I became a mother, my heart just, when they say they have that expression that your heart just lives outside of you, I remember seeing that quote come by somewhere and it's exactly what I lived. And I said, I understand that now. My heart it just feels so vulnerable. And it opened me up to that healing path for me. That's where it all began for me. Cause I believe that to be able to be so refined and in tune with that, we have to understand our healing journey as well. It comes in tow, comes hand in hand. And so really brought me into the alignment of understanding my own truth of how I was living my life, why I was living the life that I was living in the way that I was living. And there were certain things that kind of fell away from that journey, things that were not no longer aligned with me in that path. That was really hard, where no longer with, the father of the kids and separating and going through that journey and then living a life as a mother doing it all and not being very it's not a badge I really wanted to carry or be proud of, really. I was like, "That's not," I understand that strong, independent woman, trend that's going on, but that's not a badge I wanted to hold. So, there was a lot of these things and restructurings in my life, and that doesn't mean that anyone who's awakening to this is gonna have their whole life flipped upside down, but there is this realization of, "Hold on a second. Why am I leading the life that I'm leaving? Why am I holding this? And then what is it to become?" And then coming back to and finding our voice and finding our truth in that. So I wouldn't say that it was the reason why everything fell apart necessarily. I saw it for the opportunity of my growth and really understanding what I was meant to be doing. So that is from that foundation, that is where everything was built. And then I got to build it and see everything as, wow, I have the freedom to really create my life in the way that I want to and tune into it with this deep trust and this getting beyond the fear of saying, okay, how do I want that to look? So that's where the structure was built from and around.
So, for those who may not totally understand it, what's your definition of a medium?
So a medium, I would call it more of like this for people to understand it just every day, people understanding psychic work and looking at the other side. It is a psychic gift. It is the ability to see beyond ourselves and tune into energy that is beyond ourselves. And more specifically, it's being able to connect to our departed loved ones on the other side, to spirit, to those who have lived on this earth. So it's not just reading somebody's energy when they are alive and in this world, but understanding that journey beyond and understanding what's happening not just to their spirit but also their soul. So there's many things that come in tow with that, but it's having the ability to see that, to communicate with spirit and to understand all of the psychic dynamics on the other side that come along with it.
Well, that's really great. And so I'm wondering, it's like when I read your bio, it said you read beyond what spirit is telling you.
Mhm.
So talk to me about that. What's that mean?
Yes. I like that. I like to just sprinkle all the nuggets and see where people I'm like, come in, I'll tell you all about it." So this is where, and this is where I saw the change in the industry and the path I'm paving and forging and the gap that I saw is that I kept on seeing people or mediums specifically becoming drained and exhausted and communicating with spirit, but acting as a telephone to the other side. So really taking what spirit is saying and just regurgitating that, but not seeing the greater perspective of what everything meant. So they can miss things of understanding the meaning around things. So I will give an example. It'll just be a lot easier. If I have a spirit coming through and someone, a loved one, a living, wants to understand something about spirit. And spirit does not want to talk about it. It's something that they are denying, that they don't want to. When spirit crosses on the other side, they're not automatically enlightened. And sometimes that's a belief system, but they really do carry a lot of these things on the other side that they had lived in this life. And if they don't want to speak about something, then sometimes mediums will say, well, your loved one isn't coming through, or they're not there, or we have to wait for them to come through. When really what is happening is that we're not understanding the energetics around it. Spirit is there, but they just don't want to speak about it, or they're not ready, or there's a bigger reason why they're not speaking to it because it'll create a ripple effect in this life that's not for the highest good. So, in being that, understanding the psychic energy around that, I can see all of that. I could see the reasons why spirit isn't speaking. I can confirm certain energetic truths of what happened in this life, and I could explain why why this is happening, why we're not talking about it, why spirit's not talking about it. So it's seeing beyond what spirit is telling us and having that level of due diligence and discernment and understanding the bigger picture.
Okay, how do you go from a little girl who doesn't like the being touching her feet to to this? I mean, did
Yeah.
you train? What happened?
Right. So spirit brought me into this work. I did not want to do spirit work. When I started really leaning into psychic work, that's where I began. Psychic work, so reading other people's energy, reading dynamics in their businesses, answering their psychic questions. And that was the easy part for me. I'm like, I love this stuff. This is amazing. And the more that I was connecting, I started getting inputs and downloads from their loved ones and spirit. And I didn't realize that's what it was. So I started discovering that their mediumship kept on coming in and I kept on trying to resist it. And it led to, I mean, it's always your biggest purpose that's always going to force that discomfort onto you, right? I'm like, no, I want to do this fun stuff. And they're like, we need you to speak to spirit. You have a big role. And then I kept on having these experiences of spirit. So then spirit would come in the middle of the night and wake me up, like footsteps running down the side of my bed, shadows in my kitchen, hearing voices outside of me. And they were very visceral experiences until I finally paid attention. I was like, fine, what do you want? Like, if you're not going to leave me alone, then I must understand this at a greater level. And in understanding that energy and understanding spirit's role in my life, it really took away the fear because the more that I finally confronted it and that I finally leaned in and then I finally looked at what was meant to be understood around this, the more that I understood spirit world, the more I understood, oh, there's nothing to be feared here. Actually, the thing that I feared was not understanding or not knowing it. So now that I'm diving in and I'm actually understanding what's going on, my fears are decreasing and I'm starting to see this whole other world and expansion around what psychic work and medium work actually means. And I definitely did seek mentorship because I wanted to spearhead this. I was coming from corporate. I was very comfortable. I had a reputation. I was very proud of all of that. And I said, if I'm going to do this work, I am not just going to do guesswork. I want to make sure that every step of the way, I'm going to be focused on discernment, on due diligence, knowing exactly what is coming in, what is talking to me, that is not masquerading as anything else, and that I'm on point around this. So I definitely did seek mentorship around this to help me refine that at a rapid rate instead of just doing trial and error for many years. So I was very happy with that decision. It really was worth it.
And I think it's so important, a number of years ago, there was a workshop by a well-known medium, and you could go in, and one of the things that he said is that we all have intuitive gifts. We all have the ability to connect to spirit, but being a medium, there's a responsibility that comes with it, and so really, understanding the gift that you are being given and how to use it in integrity, and so we did 2 things. We did, one thing where you sat with somebody and saw what images came through, and the other was, the person was wearing some kind of jewelry, and you were to see if there was anything. So I saw this thing with this woman and about this lake, and it was her husband had died and they had just put the ashes in the lake, right? And then the other was this woman had this ring, and I saw this older woman and she goes, "Oh, that was my grandmother." And I thought, "Listen,
What you doing to me right now? Yes.
I don't know a road I wanna travel because it's big and it's energy." And so I wanna know for you, how do you manage your energy? Because you are in a field that's really a high frequency.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting because we have to hold and that's what I love about bringing in understanding psychic work around mediumship because it allows me to hold a high vibration while connecting to something that can feel a bit more dense around spirit world because of, the spirit world is very close to us because they held that energy of being human in this world. So they do hold this denser energy, but as mediums, we have to hold almost all of these hats of being able to hold a higher vibration to understand what the spirit world is meaning and looking at. And then we have to be able to distinguish and understand and discern, and then also understand ourselves and all of that. That is the biggest work when I bring people. I'm actually bringing people through my program right now on mediumship. And the first thing I'm like, we do not just dive into spirit world head on. We need to understand ourselves. And that is game changer because I need to know if I'm bringing in messages to your point around that, around the integrity, I need to make sure it's not being filtered through my ego, through my emotions, through my wounds, through my subconscious. I need to make sure I'm that clear channel because there is that responsibility around delivering that correct message. If I read something, even if it's, let's say, correct, if I read something that something happened, something transpired, but I have a huge opinion around it because I think it's something that was disgraceful or hurtful or something of that nature. It is not my place to judge. I am the channel, I am the liver of bringing in all this objective energy and transmissions. And if you are just loading that on with your opinion and what they should do and how they should go about it, and sometimes we hear like get vengeance and things of this nature. I'm like, absolutely not. There's a huge amount of responsibility, and people are they're in grief. They're taking everything that you say to heart and with full trust. And so that we have to play with that responsibility. But I take it in as if I do my work, I know where my work is. I know what brings in that level of integrity, objectivity. And I know that if ever there is that limitation, you must respect it to say, this is absolutely what I know. This is my gift. This is the pocket that I can absolutely bring you. And if there's something that I'm unsure of, then I must know the limit of where I can communicate with something, right? I'm not going to make something up. So I haven't ever reached that barrier. I'm always reading the energetics of it, but that must be part of my creed to say, if I don't know, if I'm unsure, then I will at least verbalize that. And that's what I'm showing my students and leading with that. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for you to know exactly how to utilize your gifts and where that range is. And you have to be in command of it. So that's all part of that.
Well, when did you know that you were to train other mediums, and did you resist it at all?
So much. So much. Oh gosh, I was on this psychic. I loved it. But you know what? Being psychic is beautiful because it's there's a reason why I started with that, with all the psychic work, because it was the foundation for everything that I'm bringing into mediumship. But where it landed was I kept on doing mediumship differently. And it really bothered me. It really bothered me. I'm like, oh, it's not looking like all the mediums online. I don't do validations for an hour long. Like we get one validation in, we prove that it's grandma. I bring that through, but then I'm right off to other work. Like, let's do healing work. Let's see what for your highest good. Let's understand the messages that are coming through. We are going deep with stuff. And I didn't see that elsewhere. So I didn't have those gimmicks, those performance led things. It wasn't through entertainment. I'm not looking for ghosts. And that frustrated me because I felt like it wouldn't land in the market. I felt like it's not what all the mediums are doing. And then there was a light bulb moment of course, if it's not what everyone is doing, maybe it's because there's a new path to forge here. And then I took it on myself to take on that responsibility of saying, okay, great. I so believe that this is the way it's meant to be doing it. Not necessarily my way, but in a way this is what's in alignment with me. This is where integrity, discernment of things of energy on their side is going to be crucial. And then from there, I want to show other mediums how to align to what their version of mediumship, what that looks like, as long as they have that strong foundation. Because people come in that world, they're like, yeah, I can connect to spirit, but I don't want to do readings all day long. I'm like, you don't have to do readings all day long. You have to go and perform. If you are bringing in deep healing and connect, I have some clients who are deeply connected to the shamanic realm and are doing huge shamanic healings with clients, and they're bringing through spirits and ancestral stuff. They're like, I don't want to do readings. I want to do this. I'm like, do that. There's that is mediumship. It's just that we have this view of it, this Hollywood version understanding of it. And that's what we're trying to reframe and understand. So that's where it became this mission of mine, this purpose to be like, you can, instead of wasting your time of thinking that's not meant for you because it doesn't look like the industry or the status quo, it's actually because we're being asked to redefine this at a very higher level of elevated energetics in alignment with what we're meant to do. So that's how it led me there.
Well, it's
I'm like, just,
powerful. No, it's great because
I'm like, I'm very passionate. Like, let me tell you another thing. I'm like, let's simmer, let's simmer down. I could talk about this for hours. So,
like, here's the thing, I think if the universe is ever evolving,
hmm
so is humanity. So is the way in which we can deliver our gifts. And so if we're stuck in this little container saying this is how we're gonna do it,
yeah,
well, then it doesn't allow for the space for spirit to come in, for the universe to come in and guide you in another direction because we all don't have the same gifts to be delivered in the same way.
absolutely, 100%.
So how do people find you?
People can find me through the socials. I'm very active on Instagram at cj.amanda, CJCEEJAY, so cj.amanda. On Facebook, the same name, TikTok, the same name. And then if not, on my website, cjamanda.com. So those are the places that people can find me.
Okay, everybody, listen. If you've ever wondered about this, this person, can you feel the energy? So much joy. It's like some people are so serious about their gifts, and there's a lot of joy and passion in you, and I just think that's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I asked the same last question of everybody on this show. The show is called Women Awakening. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
It's to know that they're not alone. That would be my biggest thing. Women who come into my world over and over again, beyond what I'm showing them in terms of aligning to their voice, which is huge, their truth, their own self-expression, their connection to their soul, which is would be one of those big liners. But in that, as they go through the journey over and over again, what I'm seeing is that women are trying so hard to find their space as they, psychic work especially. We're always trying to find that self-trust, go within, trust our connection to the other side. And because it's such an inward journey, sometimes we have such a hard time understanding how can I also share this with someone in such a sacred way. And people who come into my containers, the thing that I love the most is that over and over again, that's the comment that comes back is I've never felt a place where I could just be seen, not judged, understood, really celebrate others and have it feel so sacred. And so in that is to really share with women that you're not alone in this. And it may sound cliche, but I really just harness that because over and over again, that's where I feel women are. They don't want the cliche. They don't want the fake relationship. They don't want the pretend of the peace and love. They really truly want to find connection through their journey of this self-expression and finding their own truth. So that would be my message is that you're not alone.
Well, thank you for saying that because I think, especially with what's going on the planet in this moment, that's a question in women's minds. And
Yes.
so I just want to thank you for being here. I love your energy and your passion and your willingness to explore who you've come here to be. It's quite beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Mm.
Okay, ladies. I can tell that you were inspired by this talk because I was. And I just want you to know that my intention is that every conversation you feel touched and encouraged and reminded of the incredible power and gifts that live within you. The stories of the women I interview are here to help you awaken your voice, awaken your vision and your gifts, your unique gifts, because you're unrepeatable. So you can also connect with me personally at cynthiajames.net. I have a newsletter, a vibrant private community, and there's lots of offerings to support you and your fullest expression in the world. Please remember to subscribe, share the episodes with women in your life, leave a review. It really helps us bring more women to the platform. And you can watch the full video of Women Awakening with Cynthia James on YouTube. So until the next time that we're together, know that I'm excited that you're on the planet. I'm honored to be a conduit to help you shine and rise and awaken the fullness of who you are. I love you, and I'll see you next time.